Good morning.
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 I was trying to think about what I would say. Keep my eye on the clock. I don't normally do that. But I would say that this actually is on a program that says Angels in Heaven. And I guess it basically talks about something that I learned and it was reaffirmed a few weeks ago. But I actually learned it from Jerry and from both my parents who both made their transitions. And what I learned from Jerry was a very valuable lesson, and that was about, things that kind of instill fear and stuff like that. And the world is kind of designed to do that. And so one of the best things that I could have learned that the first time I came to Unity is to not give in to that and not give any power or anything like that. And then I learned that through the transition of both my parents, and that was due to the fact that when this went on, there is a sort of we know also learned in Unity that everything is energy, and so sometimes when you're a sibling or a child and you have someone, doesn't necessarily have to be your parents, it could be anybody that's going through that wonderful adventure, it's kind of counterintuitive for you to want to get to a place where you reach what I like to call selfless love. In other words, you have to, because you want to keep these people that you love with you as long as you can. And so Unity kind of teaches you that, well, no, you don't. You want to give yourself over to the fact that you want God's will to be done and not your own. And sometimes it's hard, especially in this particular case. But I was able to get to that point because both my parents they were in a position to make that decision about staying or moving on to the next level, and they happily did it. So they with my mom, she just was like, one day she said, you know what, I don't want to go to dialysis anymore. And we were all going like, well, Mom, you gotta go, And she was like, man, I'm just tired of being poked and prodded and stuff like that, And conversely to that, my dad, who was, he said, he was talking to the doctor and I really remember that night because I was there with him, and I hadn't been able to, because I was out working and stuff like that. So that was my first night to be with him. Little did I know that was going to be the night that, this thing transpired. And so he was sitting there, and I didn't really, I think everybody else was there and just going like, kind of having conversations with him, engaging him. But all I did was just kind of sit there by the bed and just kind of rub his head, and stuff like that. And he was very, very lively and, going through this whole thing. And he said, well, you know what? He says, the doctor came in and he goes like, well, we're going to try this procedure Monday. And this was Sunday night. So he said, we're going to try this procedure Monday and see if we can get some good results, And so my dad looked at him and said, well, you know what? Once this is over, I get back to the house. He says, how long do you think it'll be before I can drive my car again? And so the doctor was like, well, I don't know. You may or may not be able to drive it. He goes like, well, then who's going to take my wife to get groceries? And he's like, well, you may have to get one of the kids to do that, And he goes like, well, okay, I can deal with that. He says, but how long before I'll be able to go fishing? He was like, well, you have to be in a boat, and you have to get there, and maybe I don't know when. So you don't know when I'll be able to go fishing again. He said, because I love going. You know, like some people like to go fishing. My dad loved to go fishing. That was just kind of like a waking meditation for him. And he goes like, I don't know when. And so he said, so you're telling me that I can't take my wife to get groceries, I can't drive my car, and I can't go fishing. He was like, yeah. He said, well, you can do whatever you want on Monday because I won't be here. and I was like, well, Dad, you know, you have to go through this thing. You know, they're trying to help to make you better. He was like, he said that's you know, I made my decision, you know. And my dad's Native American, so we've always grown up sort of in a unitic sort of mindset of being one with, you know, with being in step with God and spirit and understanding that, like I said, there is a will, a universal will that supersedes your own. And you have to get to a point where you give yourself over to that, you know. And it was so funny. He said Monday I wouldn't be there. And it was maybe 2 or 3 minutes before midnight where he just kind of closed his eyes. And he was just resting. I was just rubbing his head, and I was saying, Dad, you know, I mean, I love you, and if this is the way you want to play this, then that's fine. I said, don't feel like you gotta stay, because we'll be looking out for Mom, and we'll look out for each other, and you just go ahead and, you know, and do what you need to do. And so I remember about 3 minutes until midnight, he just kind of sat up in the bed, and he made this gesture. He was like,
oh, yeah. Yeah.
and he said, you know, and he said, I got a fish. And then he just laid back, just kind of calmly closed his eyes, and that was it, you know. And so the reason why I named this lesson Angels in Heaven was because we had 2 cats, Orion, who belonged to Christian, and Angel, who belonged to Gabriel. And he loved the cat. They're the softest cat in the world, you know. So but she developed, oddly enough, and the veterinarian, Dr. Jerome, said that, wow, you know, breast cancer. He said that's very rare in cats, but extremely rare in this breed of cat. And we thought it was just like a cyst or something like that, you know. So by the time we realized that she was, you know, yeah, about to take the grate and go to the biggest litter box in the universe, you know. You know, Gabriel reminded me of that same selfless sort of love that you have to get to, that is, like I said, for most people when you love something, very counterintuitive to let them go, you know, because, and I think that you set up an energy field that sometimes, without even knowing, without you being conscious of it, you can keep people in a place longer than they really need to be, you know, and that is very freeing and without fear and